There's nothing like a global crisis to make you think about our food systems and resiliency. Now, the last time I got really stuck into the garden was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Back then, I was living on my parents' rural property with ready access to land and sheep manure. Building a pantry garden of my own is a bit harder now, living on the outskirts of Wellington. But over the next few months, I aim to show you that it's possible to grow good food no matter how small a space you have. Bare lawn, a 4x4 patch of grass that taunts me every other week when it needs mowing. And there's no lawnmower at my place either, only a manual push mower. But no more. With the help of Wellington gardening expert Hannah Zwartz, I'm turning my own backyard into a food-producing garden pantry. So where to start?
Yeah, so that's good.
Hannah's having a bit of a dig to check my soil quality. The plants already growing, yes, even the weeds, provide a further bit of insight too.
Start by just looking at the aspect of this garden. The good thing is it kind of faces north, so I imagine it gets
Lots
pretty
of sun.
sunny.
It does, yeah. Obviously a little bit shadier around the fence line. It's kind of, at the moment, as you can see, just really a patch of slightly overgrown grass.
Yep. It looks reasonably green. The daisies are a good sign that there's good soil, but also a sign it might be a little bit shady.
And it's a good maybe 4x4 metres, do you think?
Yeah.
About 16 metres squared all up, so...
Yes, yeah. Kay Baxter at Koanga, who's done a kind of a deep dive into home growing, she estimates that you need to grow enough food for a family you need about 250 square metres, and then you can grow everything. That's like growing
all year round.
Everything,
fully self-sufficient.
Your grains, your proteins and everything. I reckon this is a really good size to start. I think you'll be surprised what you can grow probably.
Having considered the growing conditions of my backyard site here in Wellington, it's time to talk about what we'd like to grow as part of this project. And for this, we're sticking to the classics. Brassicas like broccoli and kale, along with a few salad greens and root crops. Hannah's quick to adjust my expectations though. This is a learning experience after all. You know, obviously there's a seasonality aspect to it.
There is, and we're coming into winter now, so it's...
Main focus, I suppose, is on those, winter greens and your brassicas and things like that. So love a bit of cabbage, love a bit of cauliflower, broccoli.
Okay.
Carrots.
Sure. Salad.
Salads, we love a salad. Onions, all the kind of usual staples. Potatoes, I think we're quite keen to give a go.
Yep. I mean, that sounds like quite a lot to squeeze into this area, and sometimes, if you're just starting out, it's quite good to give yourself a specific goal, like...
Less is more, kind of. And that's one of the things we'll explore, I suppose, is how you can maybe start out small, grow your confidence, and then maybe look to scale up at a later date.
And some of those things, like the potatoes, we'll be planting more as it comes on to spring and so on. But we can be preparing the whole area and planning it out.
With our list of crops now sorted, it's time to work out how to grow them.
There's different ways to start a garden, and how I usually start is more of a no-dig type garden, which would mean laying cardboard on top of the lawn. If you've got things like grass clippings, lay that under your cardboard, lay down the cardboard, and you want it nice and wet and sort of flat on the ground, and then you can build your garden on top of that. I would do it roughly north to south is good, so that you've got you haven't got one bed shading in the next bed, so you've got your sun moving across the beds, and it just makes sense so that you can walk, you can get access without walking on the beds. I tend not to build up raised beds just because need the materials. It's an added cost, it really is. Also, where I am, they will dry out really quickly. I do install them quite a bit for other people, especially people that can't bend down, like if you've got bending down problems,
mobility,
knees, or getting older, then it's really good to have a raised bed.
In addition to interplanting different crop species into the different rows, Hannah suggests planting them at different intervals.
It's quite good to stagger the plantings. That's another thing that a lot of home gardeners do, is because you might only have, like say you've got Labour weekend, you've got one day to do the whole garden, so you plant everything and then you've got everything coming at once, which is not ideal. Like even a 6-pack of lettuces, that's a lot of lettuces. you could plant a 6-pack every 2 weeks or so, then you've got a steady supply of lettuces rather than a million lettuces and then no lettuces. Yeah.
So again, maybe kind of breaking, your one row up into 4 sections and plant one each week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks in between kind of.
Yeah. I mean, when you're first starting, you might plant the whole lot, but then as you go, you can also plan things out, like with things that are more slow growing, like cabbages, you space them out how you eventually want them, which might be 30 centimetres or something. But then in between you can put things like lettuces, which will grow much more quickly. You'd have a row of radishes, so you can intercrop, and you generally get healthier plants if you're intercropping rather than monocropping.
One of the things I've picked up through country life and getting to talk to growers around the country is that bare soil's not always good. It's always good to have a cover crop of some kind.
Yes.
What do you recommend for Wellington?
Well, I think if for instance, if you were going to, you could cover crop where you're going to plant your potatoes. I would use something like blue lupin over the winter, or you can get a mix. You can make a mix that might have lupin, mustard, oats, or a few different things, because then you're adding different qualities into the soil.
And because that soil biodiversity is also kind of, what your plants are eating, I suppose, the microorganisms.
The microorganisms are really important, and if you had a microscope, the best indicator of that is the worms, I guess, because they're like the blue whales of the soil. So if you've got worms, then the worms are eating the littler things, so you know that you've got a healthy ecosystem. You can just tell a lot by looking at how the plants are growing, and these plants look, it's a nice looking lawn.
Shall we pop back inside quickly, since it's just starting to spit again and getting a little bit howly? So roughly speaking, I had my plans and the materials needed. Time to put them into place and begin laying down my new garden beds. We're using a no-dig approach, which means building up layers of organic material without turning or tilling the soil. This avoids disturbing the important microorganisms which live in it, and, as an added bonus, it's also cheaper. Think of it as like making lasagna. You start with the existing lawn as a base layer. To this, I'm adding freshly mown grass, sheep poo, and autumn leaves, which will break down and add to the organic matter. Now, it's just occurred to me that I should probably explain to you what I am doing here in the background. So far I have mown the lawn for the very last time. What a great feeling. After that, it was a matter of sprinkling some of these lovely autumn leaves we've got lying around, which are going to break down underneath the cardboard layer we're about to lay down. A lot of work, I'm starting to realise, that this involves. But we persevere. Then I add plain cardboard, freely sourced from local stores. The bigger the better, and be sure to remove any plastic. I spray this with a hose to help break it down faster. Then finally I can add my soil layer, a good couple of inches, and surrounding bark or wood chip along the paths between the rows. Now, I confess, in our excitement to get the beds in, I may have forgotten to hit record as we unloaded what felt like endless amounts of bark and compost and soil. We've made 3 rows, and then alongside the fence we've also potted up some containers which will be used to plant some potatoes and garlic, maybe some carrots as well. You didn't miss much, I confess. A lot of grunting and heaving, maybe the odd curse word or two. But the job is done. What I'm starting to realise, looking at the scale of this garden, is it's not actually the end of our job. It's really just the beginning. Next steps are going to be to put some plants in, along with some herbs, some companion plants to help deter the wrong insects, as well as attract maybe some of the right insects to help with those pests. But yeah, looking at it now, I can see there's quite a big job still ahead, but this is all part of the fun. Looks like a proper garden now. Not a speck of green grass poking through for now, which is good. And hopefully, as that cardboard starts to break down, it'll just kind of enhance the soil underneath.
the layers of compost.
So far I've spent $350 on soil and bark. This includes a mix of more premium organic soil, as well as cheaper stuff you can get for about $6 per bag. Just over $100 in plants and seeds. The garden gear and compost bin I already had, but you can also find some second-hand for a good price. The labour was free, minus a box of beers. This takes us to a combined total of $450. As for the amount of time spent, it was hard to keep track, but I'd estimate you can set up a garden of your own over the course of a weekend or two. Having done the most labour-intensive part of setting up my beds, it was time to bring Hannah back to help with the planting.
Hello, hi, how are you?
Good.
That's good.
How are you?
Good. I'm nervous to show you.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, are you ready? Are you ready to see?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I love
So you can see we've been busy.
Fences.
Just to try and keep some of the soil in. It's not quite beautifully weaved like you might see.
No,
and it's not actual
What's
willow.
it made of?
I could not tell you. There was a tree that came down in a storm, and as I was passing on my way to visit my parents, I saw it down and went and trimmed some of the fresh green branches. And
It's really cute.
yeah.
It's really cute.
So we've done things slightly differently, I think, from how we talked about initially.
cool.
So we've got the 3 beds,
Yeah.
and then kind of the pots along the side, just as a way of managing it.
Yeah.
I've drawn a quick, rough idea of who I think I've possibly actually bought too many seedlings.
Okay.
But I've done a rough plan of who I think
yeah.
is going to go together.
Okay. Yeah.
So in terms of seeds,
kale.
I managed to find some kale.
Yeah.
I know, very hard to buy. I must say a lot of the options were quite limited.
Interesting.
No one knows why. I do wonder, are there other people setting up their own food beds maybe?
Yes.
Possibly.
It's probably super popular.
Yeah.
Well, you've got your greenhouse now.
So we can do our own, we can set our own? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did get some lovely cover crop as well.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I can pump that through.
Well, I think generally the best place to start is with the biggest things.
Just looking at your brassicas, your
Yeah.
kale and broccoli.
Yeah, because they will be in the beds for the longest, so they will need the space ultimately. So what have you got here? You've got broccoli and
Some kale and Chinese cabbage are our brassicas. I did
Yeah.
pick up some celery as well. I'm quite fond of celery.
oh, nice. Yes.
And I know that they can be
That's
quite
good
good
over
to
the
plant
winter.
with the brassicas as well.
Yeah. Okay, so these tatsui, they are generally, so they are more fast growing. They're
Okay.
good. They'll be ready first, so they can go sort of in amongst the. So I would start by spacing out the broccoli and the kale. Now just give these a bit of a water.
Hannah helps me plot out my plants, following a zigzag pattern for the larger ones, with smaller lettuces, beetroot and spring onions interplanted in between.
I forgot to say is I usually water them in with some seaweed
Oh, some seaweed.
liquid or something just to give them a boost, and it just gives them a really nice head start. You want them to be really wet because if they're drier than the soil,
So wetter than you'd expect even.
I actually you can even dunk them in a bucket of seaweed juice, or not for seaweed tea or anything like that. Yeah. If you give them a really good, water them in really well at the start, you can get away with a lot more later on. We'll start with our broccoli because they are going to be the biggest. So if you imagine a nice big plant, you don't. If you put them too close together, you're not really giving them a chance
To spread
get
out,
really big,
get the sun.
to get that big. Now these, you want to handle them. They're still quite little. See, the roots are still quite little.
Small, yeah.
You could even leave them a bit longer, but we'll start with this one. So with the brassicas, see where those seed leaves are, the first set of leaves that are different to the other ones? Mm-hmm. That's actually the parts of the seed, the cotyledons. So you want to plant right up to there.
Just underneath them.
Yeah. So you, if you plant them at that level, they'll flop around. You want to sort of tuck them right in. So I pour some liquid into the hole.
Some nice seaweed just to go in with them.
Nice liquid manure, and then pat them in, put nice and firmly, like that. If you're looking at, I'm not measuring, but that looks like about the right spacing. Sort of, if you zigzag them like that,
You maximise your space a bit more.
Yeah.
So about 40 centimetres? Yeah,
40,
somewhere between there.
Yeah. You do want them to touch, the leaves to be touching, but not sort of crowding each other out. And then, these kale look ready though. We'll stick these.
I think the kale's a red Russian variety, apparently.
That is a really good one, and you can be, you should be eating that all winter. I think this end of the bed, this end will be
the sunniest.
sunnier, so we might put the
Big items down here.
Yeah, I think interplanting is a good way to go, because you have more variety. The more, it's like the biodiversity in the soil. The more variety you have, the better for the soil, and supposedly might confuse the insects. We'll see about that. So just a bit of water in the hole.
Again, planting quite high up so that he's got some support.
You don't want it to be flopping around in the wind, although I must say it's pretty sheltered. And some lettuce will interplant.
Some beetroot and spring onion.
Yum.
I was thinking with the carrots to start as to sow them in that bed there, which is looking pretty tragic. Or do you think straight into the ground?
I think try some of both.
I
think that the thing with containers is that they dry out more, and if carrots dry out, that's when they go kind of woody.
Right.
It's not what you want in a carrot. So I would try some in both.
So we'd zigzag one broccoli, a kale, and then
see that? Look, that's a good. I think that's a good size. So you gently pull it. The roots are getting down to the bottom of the cell. So I think all these basically put them at the same spacing.
So just zigzagging them along the north to south bed, basically.
The roots will go down into the cardboard, find their way through. Actually, that cardboard won't, the cardboard will rot down nice and quick. So, these ones don't have to be so low, the celery. You don't want to bury the crown because that will rot. So you just, take a bit of time to press them in nicely. And then in between, we can have our faster growing things.
Our lettuces, our radish and our spring onions.
Yep, exactly. And again with lettuces, I can see you've got 2 punnets, but you might want to put some in the shadier part and some in the sunnier part so that you don't get
inundated
on one day.
I mean, we do like salad, but not that much,
that's
maybe.
Quite a lot. That's quite a few. So the lettuces can go a little bit closer because you'll be, just again, you picture in your head the lettuce that you want it to grow into, so it's maybe that big.
If there's like a right angle, you'd maybe put it in the corner between the 2 brassicas.
Yeah, and then we're going to put other things. Actually, we might put the beetroot along the edge. So then we've got the tatsoi. I would treat like the lettuces because they're similar. They're going to be, you can picture how they're going to grow. I'll give those a little bit longer. And then the beetroot you can plant quite small because they're a root crop. You don't want to be disturbing the root too much there. That's perfect because it's coming out. See how the whole cell comes out as one thing? These are in a clump. There's 4 plants in one.
So we could almost separate them out.
It's actually best to plant them all together because then you get kind of a bunch of beetroot on the ground, but they tend to
sort themselves out.
They sort themselves out. And again, they're quite good along the edges. So I'm going to put this here because this is going to have plenty of room.
So in between the celery and the kale, kind of in a similar way to the lettuce, you kind of give everything their own bit of space.
Yeah. But imagine nice clump of 4 nice juicy little beetroots there. And you could do the same on the other side.
As for seeds, we sow the radish and carrots along the outer row to maximise the amount of sun they'll get, and mix some cover crop seeds into the second row with our vegetables. And I'm pleased to report the first of the seeds have started to sprout. Again, the idea is to set up something for the longer term, though you can absolutely start by planting crops which are a little more developed, which means you can eat them sooner. Now, to show you can garden almost anywhere, no matter the size of your outdoor space, I'll also be planting up some old pots I had with potatoes and garlic a little later in the season. It'll be a little while yet before I can enjoy the so-called fruits of my labour and my spending. Big thank you to Hannah Zwartz there, helping me in my garden. And you can hear more gardening advice from her on Saturday mornings. Tune in next month. And just for transparency, the time and money spent setting up my garden are being done outside of work hours and out of my own pocket. You can follow my gardening journey over the next few months by following Country Life. And please, if you have any helpful suggestions or questions, get in touch by emailing country@rnz.co.nz. You'll find photos from today's stories on our website, rnz.co.nz/countrylife.